Sorry, I was trying to get our tech guy's attention. There you go. All right, good. We got a mic. Hey guys, you ready for this panel? Are you pissed off that you'll never see these guys together again? Or you just lied because you're about to see them together now. So anyway. All right, so without any further ado, I'd like to bring these fantastic individuals from that fabulous show known as Gotham. Maggie, Geha. How you guys doing? Good. Why don't you see me anymore? Hi. What did you do to piss off the producers? What's going on? Hey man, I love this series. 5 years of angst, if you want to call it that. The character development, the majority of us, and of course you're amongst the most fabulous nerds and geeks in all of the entire planet, so being fans of The Dark Knight and actually seeing its fruition from young to what we know is to become was a gift to us, and for you guys to actually execute it so well, we're really, really happy about that. There is going to be question Q&As, of course, and there are, Derek, where are you, Derek? Derek's on this side, Mary's on that side. If you have any questions for our fabulous cast up there, you can start lining up right now. Hopefully you have some brilliant questions, but while you do that, we're going to go ahead. I have a question to ask Sean first. Have you watched, is that an Amazon Prime? No, is that a Hulu series?
Which one?
Pennyworth.
Pennyworth. Yeah, unfortunately, no, I haven't seen it.
Okay.
I actually asked, when Bruno first told me about the show, I was with Robin, and I sort of was delighted to hear that when Bruno came rushing out the studio, sort of saying, well, there's a spin-off show called Pennyworth. And I said, great, when do we start? And he said, you're too old. So I was a little bit gutted. I thought it'd be like Fraggle Rock, where I'd actually sort of be in the beginning of each episode, sort of saying, I remember the time, like that, but that didn't happen. But it looks fabulous. It's our showrunners, Danny Cannon and Bruno Heller. A lot of my friends are in it, and they shoot it on the streets of London and everything like that, so deeply gutted that I'm not involved, but I'm really kind of excited to see it. Jack Bannon apparently kills it as a younger version of me. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing it. I haven't seen it. It's on, I think, on Epix.
I agree. Who has seen it? Raise your hands out here. Who has seen Pennyworth? Is that Prime or is it Hulu?
Epic.
Yeah, that too. Okay, it's Epic. All right, yeah, it is fabulous, and obviously there's a role for you because you can, play his mentor, the guy that actually trained him. You can come on that series and do that. I want my 20%. Anyway, Robin. Method, actor, all get out. You make me want to choke you to death every time you're on the screen.
Yes.
Kind of damage that other leg of yours or something, but anyway. How did you prepare? What influences have you gotten from anyone in particular for you to carry out your role?
Well, we were very fortunate when we started. All of the Warner Brothers shows are fortunate in the sense that there's a very strong connection between the creatives on the shows and the creatives at DC Comics. So when we were starting out, we were introduced to Jeff Johns, who was very involved. He was the head of Warner Brothers Comics at the time, and he was very involved with the launch of our show and where we were taking these characters. And so I was at maybe it might have been like San Diego Comic-Con that year or something, and I met Jeff for the first time, and I immediately said to him, I was like, do you have any, because I'm having read some comics, I'm still not a complete aficionado like in that, but I was like, can you recommend any titles that are Penguin centric that would be useful to me? And he was like, what's your address? And he hand selected a bunch and sent them to me. So that was really the first main influence, was going back to the comics, learning about it was Penguin, Pain, and Prejudice was the story that really I drew a lot from. It's where we learned about his past as a bullied kid, and then it helped me find real human experiences that could root this character again in something real and something you would wouldn't be like out of the realm of possibility to see someone like that on the streets of New York City.
So obviously you didn't find any need to watch 1966 back.
Oh no, well, okay. That being said, when I was growing up, you know, I'm a child of the '80s, and every day after school was the original Batman series, followed by Scooby-Doo, and so I would run, I tell you, from the school bus to the television set and plop down and watch. And so I've seen every episode of the original Batman series. It's been a minute since don't quiz me, it's been a minute. But so I was I was, you know, totally very familiar with the amazing Burgess Meredith and what he did with the character, making it, he's the one who made it an iconic moment,
Sure.
Sure. And so he's incredible. And then, of course, growing up, Batman Returns, I saw it in the movie theater when it came out, and it's one of my favorite movies, and Danny DeVito, again, just an incredible performance. So to follow in those people's footsteps is just an honor, and so there's definitely influences from that in the character that you see.
Awesome. Maggie, are you tall?
Probably. Most likely I'd say yes.
You're stunning. Thank you so much for being here at DragonCon. 20% uptick on your autograph sales now. Anyway, but you are stunning. Poison Ivy, I'm big on reds, and
Me too.
Yeah. Your character, Poison Ivy, obviously you researched that as well. And how did you come about and there were
three. There were three Ivies on our show. Three incarnations of Ivy.
Oh, the younger one.
More of us to love.
Okay, well, your rendition of Poison Ivy, how did you come about that?
Well, I was really lucky to be able to follow Claire Foley, who did such an amazing job as little baby Ivy, and then I got to play, Lady Baby Ivy, and then Peyton List followed, and she was incredible to wrap it up. And so I tried to sort of emulate some of Claire's mannerisms, and I've always really identified with most redheaded characters: Jessica Rabbit, Little Mermaid, Pippi Longstocking, and of course Ivy. I actually dressed up as her for Halloween one year.
Good.
So it was a dream role, and I love Ivy.
Yeah, we love you as Ivy.
Well, thank you.
All right, let's get to the boy. David. How you doing, brother? You're into that black, aren't you? You kind of like
I'm a brooding guy, that's it.
Yeah, we love your portrayal, man. You're absolutely brilliant. The way you executed your role, we really, really appreciate the entertainment, convincing us of the reality of the boy growing up to be the brooding man. How you feeling? Welcome to DragonCon.
Thank you. I'm feeling great. I love this city, and I love this convention.
It's only Friday. Let's get to the questions out here. Let's go ahead and start on your side. Derek, who do you have back there? And who's it going to?
Hi, my name is Richard.
Hey.
This question is for the entire cast of Gotham. Well, I noticed watching from season 1 through 2 and thereon after, how the characters talk in such a low, raspy voice, such as Gordon saying GCPD or Enigma or even Penguin. Was there a reason for how you guys changed the tone of your voice?
I think it's the pollution. Gotham's a very smoky city.
And very smoky sets, too.
Very smoky
We
sets.
have lots of haze and atmosphere going on in virtually every scene, to find that sort of Gotham, sort of noir ambiance. Yeah, and so we were breathing in a lot of stuff. It'd be really funny, yeah.
It's reassuring when you see the entire crew wearing gas masks.
Yeah, but Robert, you sound exactly like your character. I mean, I don't think you changed your voice at all.
You sound like the Penguin. But yeah, I mean, to your question, I guess, it's a show with dark themes and that gravitas, and every we're not just in a scene talking about, what we ate for dinner. Every scene is talking about life and death and love and passion. And, it's just like giant themes. And I think there's just something about when the material has that much gravity your voice will change. The Batman. But yeah, anyway, thanks.
It's also a testament to the incredible work in the sound department as well, because it's with their big sets and rattly sets and props and things to bump into. And the guys did an extraordinary job, I think, actually. In fact, for their sound production to capture our dance.
They were nominated, I think, almost every year.
Mm-hmm. And it's interesting that this panel is titled Becoming. So it's basically, you know, the start of each and every one of these characters. And David, you went through 5 ages. You went through 5 different ages, and your voice did change. So was there any instruction?
I sounded like I sounded like Mickey Mouse when I first started. I remember there was one. I think it was. I was watching an episode. I was sitting up to watch an episode, and I think it was probably like season 2. It wasn't that late into the show, or maybe like late season 2. And they showed, and in the previously on Gotham, they showed a recap from sometime in season 1. And I started dying of laughter when I heard my voice. And I was talking to Sean, and I was like, okay. You're a little baby.
Awesome. Mary, you have someone over there on your side. Hello.
Hello. Oh, gosh.
Hello.
His voice changed too?
So I know y'all have kind of touched on this, but each of you play characters that we know so well, like through different movies and TV shows and comic books and whatnot. But watching the show that you guys do, it seems each of you brings something very unique to the role. And so, where do you find the inspiration to kind of bring your own uniqueness to the role and make it awesome without, you know, like ruining it and making all the like hardcore fans like Superman, like, oh, that's not how Batman's supposed to act, but you know,
there's a lot of that too.
Yeah, well, yeah, but I mean, I think you guys did an awesome job because I really enjoyed your characters in the show.
Yeah, that's a very good question. I guess we can go to Robin on that one, since we know ultimately what Penguin is going to look like visually and act like, you know, verbally and whatever. You molded yours from before you even called Penguin, and how did that work with you?
I mean, this show makes me believe in destiny, and I also we've talked about this, touched on this before. I give all credit for this to Danny Cannon and Bruno Heller. The executive producers and creators of the show. They had the brilliant idea when we auditioned for the pilot to not tell us what we were auditioning for. So we didn't know. I didn't know I was auditioning for the Penguin. And they wrote fake. We weren't allowed to read the script either.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have one other. Donal, ladies and gentlemen. Sit there on the end.
Donal Logue, everybody.
We weren't sure if he was coming for this panel or not, and I'm so glad that you made it. Right now we're catching up on how people came to their own conclusion to what their characters should come out to be, and Robin was kind of showing us a little indication of it. Go ahead.
Robin, like when I auditioned the side set of Iris instead of Ivy, and I actually didn't know that it was Ivy either.
Yeah.
And that's, you know, I joined season 3, so
Yeah.
they carried that throughout the show.
That's so interesting. Yeah, because they really wanted us to come to these characters without any preconceived ideas. They wanted to do things intentionally that people hadn't seen before. Because again, they really believe in, and I think we all do too, in the sense that these characters are always meant to evolve and change. They reflect the times in which they're happening, and so you know that's an important part for these conventions to go on and for this fandom to continue. Like these characters have to evolve,
right.
And Danny and Bruno they held very true to that, and so I think it really also starts with them. I came to the scene with just what my weird mind came up with for this character that I did not know was ultimately the Penguin, and this is what it is. And so yeah.
Well, this is an interesting segue. If I could skip ahead here, since Donal just stepped in, I do. Robin had mentioned that he didn't know what roles he was interviewing for or auditioning for, and you have an interesting story in terms of what you were asked to audition for and you didn't want it? Yes.
No, mine was, I got a mic there.
Oh, sorry,
Is
yeah.
that live? I was the luckiest. I met Bruno in late October, early November, the year before, months before the pilot. And he basically said, there's a guy named Harvey Bullock, and he's not really known in the cinematic universe, but he's in the comic, the GCPD. And he's kind of like the guy that takes Jim Gordon in when he's a rookie, and I want you to do it. And I was like, okay, I want to do it. It was so seamless for me. It was, and then because Harvey hadn't been around, and I'd heard Harvey on the animated series because my kids used to watch that a lot, and I would do long road trips with them and just hear it in the backseat while they were watching it. But I never had a problem from the get-go saying, I'm not going to imitate any incarnation of this character. Like, I don't feel beholden to it. So I was lucky I was free because they had to step in too. But I think you all felt the same way too.
Yeah, Sean, if you
I was
got
going to
something.
say that had I known that I was auditioning for Alfred, I would have undoubtedly screwed it up and not got the job. Seriously, because my speech was that they actually incorporated it into season 2, and I meet Chris Chalk, who's Lucius Fox, and when I walk into a pub and meet someone up in a pub, and I said, what character is this? And they said, it's Alfred. So had I known that, and this is why I think the casting of all of these sublime actors, I think we will agree, everyone in the show is on point, is because we weren't necessarily aware, but our showrunners and writers saw a nucleus of what they wanted. So it's very flattering to hear. And the show's Gotham is about how the city molds these people to become the characters they later become. And I think that's where the casting was so right in our show. Monumental performances by everyone here.
Okay, now let's do something here, guys, just so we get to everyone who wants to ask a question. If you don't direct them to everyone up here on the panel, then we might be able to get more questions through for the people that are standing in line. So let's go over to, who am I talking? Is it Derek's side? Derek, go ahead.
Hello, my name is Justin. I first want to say thank you to all of y'all for the great work you do on Gotham and for being here at DragonCon to speak with us all. I do have a direct question for Robin, because one of my favorite relationships from the show was Penguin and Fish Mooney. Your work with Jada, was that natural or did it take some time? I'm curious.
It was there from day one. I have the utmost respect and just, frankly, awe of Jada Pinkett Smith. And she's one of the most poised professional people I've ever had the pleasure to work with, and also one of the most successful people with the most down-to-earth attitude, no ego at all. And I'm very thankful to her for that. And also it's one of my favorite relationships too, because there are weird parallels between my character and my real life, and that's one of them, in the sense that Jada, Fish Mooney teaches Penguin everything that he knows. So everything that he knows about the underbelly of Gotham City, he's learned it from her, and he's watched her, and she's been a huge influence on him. He has his mother, of course, but she was really the one, his mentor in every possible way. And so when we were starting the show, that was our relationship on set. And then when the show started coming out, and we had to do all of these kinds of things, and talk to reporters and do press junkets, and it's very intimidating, especially if you've never really done it before. It's its own skill that takes practice. And so when I was starting out, I didn't know anything about how what to expect, and I would just be really nervous, and I'd be touching my face all the time, and just all the things you're not supposed to do. Thankfully the publicists at wherever at Warner Brothers or Fox, they put me with Jada every single time. So I'm going through this whole world. This is my introduction into this world. She knows everything. She became like a mentor to me for that. And so again, it was this really amazing synergy between, you know, what we had on set and then what was really going on in life. And so, yeah, again, nothing but respect and love to her, and just real gratitude for, like, you know, again, this being my first really big thing, and she being by far one of the most successful people I ever worked with. For her to just treat me like a peer and just, you know, take me under her wings. I'm eternally grateful to her for that. So yeah, thanks, man.
Awesome. Okay, Mary.
Hello, Robin. He and I go way back. You know, the thing that I'm going to miss most about you as Oswald is your hair. It's no longer black. Do you miss dyeing your hair black?
Absolutely not. I feel like, you know, yeah, it was really amazing to have, like, I feel really lucky in so many ways, and one of them is to play a character that, where it's a physical transformation from what I look like in my day-to-day, and, like, you know, that really allowed me to go to places, I think, like, you know, I like to, you know, the way I work is sort of, I like to let the physicality sort of inform what's going on inside, and so, like, I was really lucky in that I got that opportunity with the character, not just in the way that he walks, but really just in the way that he looks, and, you know, like, what that means to, like, be a person with that hairstyle and walk into a room. You know, like, just think about that. Like, that changes your attitude. And so, like, I was really able to use that in a great way. But yeah, the downside of it was, though, you know, I had to take a little piece of Oswald with me everywhere I went for 5 years. You know what I mean? Like, so, you know, that, you know, again, I'm only grateful for it, but, you know, it's nice to, like, I feel like I'm reintroducing myself to everybody. Hello, I'm blonde. Thank you very much.
I've never seen you with blonde hair.
We haven't seen each other
ever with blonde
yet
hair.
this year. And so, yeah.
I had read that he was naturally a blonde, and when we showed up backstage here, I went, oh my God, yeah, you are blonde. What do we got over here?
Hello.
Hi.
My name's Jay. This question is for Dave. I actually met you a few years back at Golden Apple in LA. But I got a question. Back in season 4, I think it was season 3, season 4, you did a certain fight scene with Jerome. I wanted to know what did you take, and how many prep time did you take to train for that fight?
Who was that question? Who was that question directed to?
Me, yeah.
Oh, okay.
A lot of prep time. It was that, you're talking about the one in the Hall of Mirrors?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, the Hall of Mirrors when you fought Jerome.
Yeah,
I didn't know
I was really, really nervous and excited for it, because it was one of the first times, I mean, just that episode in general was one of the first times that Bruce kind of won a fight, you know. I didn't fight scenes before, but I was just constantly getting beat up. And this is the first time that Bruce actually knew what he was doing, and he actually, like, won. And I was like, all right, I gotta make it look like I know what I'm doing. And the stunt people, Cameron, I still have one of our first rehearsals from it in the dressing room at our studio. I mean, we just kind of did it again and again and again, because I was nervous, but yeah, I mean, it was great in the end. I was really happy with how it came out. Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you. Good seeing you again.
How are you on this side?
Hi, I have a question for Robin. How did you feel about how people reacted between the relationship between Penguin and the Riddler? How excited everybody was that they were going to hook up, and then they didn't, and everybody was mad.
Oh yeah. I mean, you know, how did I feel? Like, I guess it's kind of like how I feel about anything when you're tracking people's reactions online. Well, just how I feel about the reactions of anybody about anything online is that you get this crazy, like, swing of, like, people saying, like, the absolute worst horrifying thing, and then people being the most amazing. So, like, you know, like, the response was, like, again, it was twofold. Like, you know, being a gay person and growing up in the Midwest in a small town, like I know what I'm not unaccustomed to homophobia. It's nothing new to me. So like in that regard, I was completely prepared. But at the same time, you're like, now there's this extra pressure of like, it's not like I don't give a shit what anyone, excuse me. I don't care.
DragonCon.
DragonCon. All right. I don't give a shit. Anyone. I mean, I really, like, I'm used to it, so I don't really care what people say about me, either good or bad. But like, it's more like I worry about kids who follow me who watch this, and like, God forbid, there's a queer person out there, and they want to come out to their family, and then for some reason they're a big fan of the show, and then they see the response that people are like, sending them to me, like they're seeing like the homophobia out there directed at me. That's the thing that really upsets me the most. But ultimately, like, these conversations have to happen, and I will say, yeah, I didn't touch enough. It's too easy to focus on, that is the minority. The people who say, terrible, messed up, homophobic stuff, they're the minority. The majority are the people who are coming at me with love from all sides, and it's just like, it's overwhelming. And like, yes. And so for anyone to get disheartened now, I constantly want to tell everybody to remind themselves, yes, kindness is the majority. The kind people will win. We're the most understated because we're kind. You know what I mean? So it's like, that was very affirming. And so, yeah, it was just a whole roller coaster of things, and I couldn't have been more proud to have been able to be a part of that conversation, and also couldn't have asked for a better person to go on that ride with than Corey Michael Smith. He is just an amazing person, an amazing actor, an amazing human being. So yeah, I was lucky in so many regards. So I feel nothing but love now and optimism. Optimism, yes, that's what we're going for now. So yeah, thank you.
Good question. Derek, you got someone over there?
Hello, my name is Hayden. And my question is, if the DCU restarted or rebooted, would you guys audition for a new Batman movie that was coming out?
Audition for what?
New Batman movie that's coming out.
For the Batman movie, if they were be up to auditioning for a new Batman movie coming out?
Yeah, if the DCU rebooted, would you guys be willing to audition for a Batman movie were it to come out?
Have you guys been approached? Anybody been approached for any motion picture? How about streaming services? Have you guys been talked to about any possible? Hey, look now.
I'm just sliding there.
For any opportunities to carry on either Gotham or your
Not
character?
yet, but I do think, honestly, they really, for better or worse, and I totally understand, they keep the cinematic and the television universes
separate, yeah.
So you would, if they're approaching Joaquin Phoenix to do something, they're not going to ask Cameron to audition or something. It's a totally separate thing, and maybe that's, it's good. I like that we have our corner of the world, but I don't know. It'll be interesting now that background, like there are certain shows that are on, and I think that they took the GCPD to Vancouver. Right? I think the set went to Vancouver, so it's a possibility that they would.
You could be
asked to walk.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of shows that started out on network TV and have now been moved over to streaming. Expanse is a prime example. Sci-Fi Channel canceled The Expanse. Amazon picked up Expanse, and now they added 2 more seasons. Just Amazon being picked up by a streaming services. So if they wanted to continue the world of Gotham, the possibilities are wide open, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's a whole different world now. It's insane. Nothing goes away anymore. So it's like, and also like, gosh, our show hits Netflix on September 30th. The final season comes out on Netflix on September 30th, and like that's like and then people are just going to continue to rediscover the shows. Yep. As the years go on, it just gets bigger and bigger. It's really exciting.
Yep.
So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think
Yeah, I have hope. I have hope that you guys will continue on, unless you have other plans yourselves.
I think if the other people were involved, we'd absolutely be down to jump into it together. It would just get funky if it was not. If we were really very close, and will remain so, as you can tell. You know,
Yes.
so I think it would be weird if it was just a real smattering of, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be hard to imagine doing this stuff without band, you know.
Right.
So.
Right. Who do we have? We're on Mary's side, right? Hello.
Hello. First of all, thank you guys for coming out. I wore my special GCPD shirt for this panel.
Suck up.
This question is directed towards Robin. So, I think it was near the end of season 3, you were shot by Riddler at the docks and you died, and then like next episode you came back alive. How did you come back alive?
Wait, what was the last one? Sorry, what last one?
You got shot by Riddler at the docks, and then later on you came back alive. So I don't know how you came back alive. That's what I'm wondering. How did you come back alive?
Continuity problems, guy.
So when I got shot and then I came back, it was Maggie who saved me. Like she slept in. She's like what I love about Maggie's character too is like, you know, we really got to see like, you know, one of the true, like almost the real sort of supernatural angle of the Batman universe. Like normally it's, you know, which I love. I love that it's normally rooted in almost in a much more realistic sort of world. But then we do get to have fun, like, and I think with her character, that was like one of the coolest things. Like we really got to dip a toe into the supernatural world, which was really exciting for our storyline. And it was really helpful to bring her back from the dead.
And you did so begrudgingly, but
Yeah.
No one really dies in Gotham, I don't know if you noticed.
Yeah.
We're like boomerangs. I mean, I died about 3 times.
Yeah. I was going to ask you a question too, Sean. Your role was basically put from butler to basically adoptive dad, or how did you two, David and you guys talk about, okay, now that I'm kind of going to be your dad, but you're still my boss, this is how we should play this off? Was there any conversation in private or even amongst the director saying this is how you need to play this?
From my perspective, it was really kind of completely organic.
Yeah.
I was away from my son, who's virtually the same age as David, so there's a very easy pool to draw from emotionally. And him being an extraordinary young man, an extraordinarily talented young man, and so focused and just a joy to be with. It never felt tricky or difficult to draw from. The physicality was something that we both sort of enjoyed because it was the first time that we were sort of like let out of the office. And you know, I think the first time that we really realised that we had something which was the sort of germination of the character, from being a seed to begin on the beginning of the journey to become Batman, was when we were taken to see Tommy Elliot. And he addresses a bully with his father's Rolex watch. And he beats him up, but it was an extraordinary moment. It was a moment for both of us. That's how, in a kind of bizarre way, both being dysfunctional, they find each other. The darkness kind of draws them together. That's why they understand each other. They come from a very strange perspective. But yeah, it was very organic, and I'm just so thankful I got to be with him for 5 years. I probably drove him mad, but I mean, it was lovely.
You got to watch him grow from your tutelage. You know, that's your product right there. So good job, Sean. Where are we? Derek?
Hello, my name is Jennifer. My fiance and I, Andrew and I, we've been huge fans of the show, watching it every single night. You all are fantastic. It was wonderful to see you grow. My main question is, I heard earlier you guys said you didn't know what you're actually even auditioning for, which is even better. It's awesome because you did so great. But after you actually, worked in the show, you worked in the genre of superheroes and really sci-fi in the general sense, do you see yourselves wanting to audition in the future within the genre, and do you have like a huge interest in it? If not, do you have a character that's your favorite character in the genre that if you in some time in the future would be able to audition for it, this would be your dream role?
Oh my God, did you get all that?
Yeah, I mean, I think I would love to have another job in this world. I mean, like, first of all, it's such a blessing to be able to meet you guys and to be able to, where they have these conventions where we can actually like interact and talk. Like, you don't get that on other jobs or in other different genres. Like, it's just really amazing. Like, the amount of people that we reach through these characters and the people that just have passion for it, and now that the stigma is removed and anyone can be here, it's amazing. So of course I would I jump on that, and I think any actor would. In terms of my favorite, I love to be an X-Man, and I don't care which one. They don't own me.
All right. Was that good for you?
It was good for me.
Yeah, just trying to put a chair down. Anyway, Mary?
This question is for Donal. GCPD or SVU?
I'll just say I'm the luckiest human being on the face of the earth. Can you imagine, when I was doing the pilot of Gotham, I was working on those episodes of SVU, Beast Obsession, and Postmortem, these I had two incredible families bouncing back and forth. Gotham's my family. I stopped SVU, and I was on, Gotham. This is my family for the last 5 years. We went through a lot together. Gotham was I've never been involved in anything in my whole career as just so enveloping as Gotham and what we had. So, there's no comparison. But I was really lucky to be around some really cool worlds. But Gotham is the most unique, kind of amazing experience I've had. That we spent this much time together. It was so rare and so, and like what Robin said, to be in this universe, not to generalize, but the weight of a fan in this genre universe is worth a million in anything else. Just the passion, and so I think we were all really. I'm incredibly fortunate to just have a thumbprint in the GCPD.
But if you had to be a real life cop, which precinct would you work in?
A real life cop? SVU.
It's easy. I want to beat up a real criminal, All right, what do we have? Derek, do you have anybody over there? Hi.
Hi. I was just curious if y'all got to keep any of your costumes, like the hat?
Yes.
That Mr. Logue wore, because he kind of looked hot in it.
Are any of you guys thieves? I think that's what she was asking. She likes your costumes. Have you retained?
I kept a few things, and I stupidly should have taken Donal's advice and taken a lot more. I put it down to
Not clothes.
Furniture, literally. I should have taken, because we had these incredible suits made for us, and as you know, the wardrobe department was just sublime. They were just extraordinary costumes. But I could only put it down to tequila that I didn't, because on the last night when I had an opportunity of relieving some of my costumes, I forgot. But I did take my fob watch, my SAS tie-pin, and I took my cufflinks, my fob watch and chain, and my ring. Very quick question. They made me this. I'm a Huguenot. The props department made me this signet ring with my father's crest on it. I'm a Huguenot. Wow. And on day one, they found, because they saw the tattoo, and they took a photograph of it. I don't know why they saw me in my underpants. It's another thing. On the first day, they gave me this ring, which had my father's crest on it, mascara, all down, like Alice Cooper on the first day. So I took that, but you didn't hear that.
Hey, Robin, what'd you steal?
The thing about the wardrobe is that they make multiples of everything. So every suit, there's like 3 copies of it. So What's stealing? No, I definitely. They made these amazing shirts, and I've taken pictures, but all of my shirts had a monogrammed umbrella on them, so I kept that, which is really beautiful. It was those little. We had the most amazing wardrobe department. They, it's really. It seems like when you watch the show that it's the actors 100% creating this character. It's actually this amazing collaboration between some of the most creative people you can possibly imagine. And they're not just like, they're people who, they make things and they think of visually, and it's just really beautiful because again, when you're wearing these suits and you have like a little monogrammed umbrella, and then you're like thinking, as an actor, you're like, who's the kind of person who has that kind of shit? You know what I mean? What kind of guy is that? And that's the Penguin. That tells me something about this person. And so, again, it's just amazing, like the people that we got to work with. And, it all came together in such a beautiful way. So, yeah.
I do remember, things were pretty hairy the last night. We were working kind of late. It's always kind of emotional, too. But after the dust settled, I was like, damn, where's my leather jacket and my hat? And there's a dude named Ed Heavey, who we all know very well. He was like, oh, I took them. And you're not getting them. He's in Staten Island with my stuff.
Maggie, you were fitted for your costumes.
Oh, yeah, it's an incredible costumes. I never took anything because I figured maybe the next incarnation of Ivy might need it. But I did steal a pair of gloves accidentally.
Accidentally?
Yeah, they just ended up in my bag.
Oh, I see.
I'm trying to think. One time I went to a wardrobe fitting and they gifted me this beautiful piece of jewelry that they made for me. It was this I still have it. It's this long locket, and it's like a little mini terrarium with plant life inside of it. So I have that, and that's really special to me.
Oh,
yeah.
That's a nice takeaway. All right, thank you. You guys having a good time? Woo! Just as a subtle reminder, we'll all be back here again. Are we in this room? 5:30 tomorrow, and we're going to be talking tomorrow about their secret identities. So hold any questions about their secret identities at least until tomorrow, and then we'll just bust it wide open. Then, who do we have? Derek, your turn. 5. Oh, is Mary there? Yeah. Oh, yes, it's Mary.
All right. Hi. So I was just wondering, since it's like a prequel series, obviously we know that a lot of you live through it. Like Bruce obviously has to become Batman at some point. So I was wondering, was it difficult to come up with situations where it would be exciting, because we know you guys have to live, so the stakes weren't too high all the time. So was it difficult to come up with fights or stuff that would be exciting to watch?
He's got a good point. David, it would have been nice in Gotham if we saw you squatting a lot. For some bizarre reason, you're always down close to the ground squatting. And boom.
Yeah.
So any character pickups, Robin especially.
Any what?
Is there anything you've done basically during this series that you think would have projected into the portrayal of Batman as we all know him?
I think. I feel like I feel like Bruce, as well as me, were kind of exploring. Bruce is at that formative age when I was playing him, where any person in the age of 13 to 18 is finding themselves, exploring their identity, and I was constantly just trying, exploring different things that I'd seen in comic books and places I got inspiration from. And yeah, just kind of figuring it out. I can't really. There wasn't really one thing. I would say the kind of most basic thing, which is kind of obvious, is I always had that really separated me from Bruce was my posture, because I have really bad posture in real life, as you can probably all tell just from watching me here. And Bruce, he's basically American royalty, and so he always had a great posture. That's something that I think Batman has, obviously, because he's just kind of more kind of confident personality and everything, But little things like that, I could have been squatting more.
Yeah, no, but yours was a better analogy. I really like that. That was pretty cool. How about you, Robin? Did you pick up or did you create or start anything you think people will remember as the common day or everyday Penguin?
I don't. Yeah, I would hope so. I mean, I would hope that, like, you know, I mean, we're all like we're all playing these characters. We're playing. You know, it's a family of people, actors playing who get to play the same sort of characters, and there's a connection that, you know, I have to Danny DeVito, and there's a connection that I'll have to whomever gets to play this amazing character next. And like, it's really exciting because, like, I'm so excited to see how people reinterpret, or, you know, and hopefully, you know, like, as Danny DeVito and Burgess Meredith were informative to me, I would hope that, you know, the same would be to, again, whoever comes next. But yeah, I mean, I don't know.
And you mentioned Burgess Meredith because we all remember Burgess Meredith as his Penguin version was basically the, you know, boom, 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 whereas your Penguin version ended up being sort of like the dragging of the leg to kind of give a, you know, connection with the way Penguin walked classically.
Yeah, like really discovering like how that happened and, like, you know, making it a real thing for this character.
Yep.
Yeah, I would hope, like, I hope all these touches, you know, again, if people respond well to them, they'll live on in their own way, and yeah, but again, like, these characters, I've said it before, they need to be reinterpreted. New people need to come in and play them, you know, and it's just always exciting when to see that happen. And yeah, blah.
Excellent. Okay. Your side, Derek.
David and Sean, this is for both of you. You had control of Wayne Industries. What would you do with all that money?
I'd save the world. If you had control of all of Wayne Industries' money, what'd you do with it?
I'd save the world.
He must be paying you.
How much money are we talking here? Like $5,000? Anybody remember that?
$5. Yeah, I'd save the world right after I save my really, really nice mansion.
Sean would be saving the world from Ibiza, I think.
All right, we're doing good, guys. We're good for about another 10 minutes or so. So what do we have on your side there, Mary?
Hi, my name is Carmen. I love you guys. I thought the show was brilliant. This question is for David or David, I'm not sure. But for Bruce Wayne, this is the first time we've really seen him as a child grow up into the Bruce Wayne we all know, into an adult, into Batman, and that was never done before on the screen. We always saw him as a child, and then all of a sudden it jumps to him as an adult. It had never been explored before. So how did you come to explore that along with the writers, and how it was developed for you? Was it strange? Did you come up with your own ideas, or was it just something that was a lot of pressure on you to actually develop this character into someone you knew it was going to be later?
No, there was no pressure, mainly because I was 12, just didn't think about it. I really didn't think about it. I starkly remember like realizing, and it was, thank God, it was way after I'd established the character and I'd doing my thing for a second, so there's no going back at that point, that I realized how much pressure that I could have been putting on myself. I was just really, really excited to be Batman, you know? And yeah, I mean, my biggest inspiration, I did do a lot of research because I did want to know, because I did know this character has been alive for 75 years, and I want to know, like, what, you know, I just wanted to get, you know, tidbits, and just kind of understand what I was stepping into, not necessarily the culture, but just the character. And so I read a bunch of comic books, I watched TV shows, et cetera, but really my main inspiration just came from the writers and the scripts that I got, because I think they were pretty clear, and also working with Danny and Bruno in the pilot, they were very, very clear about what they wanted, and also, like, just from, you know, what Rob was saying earlier, just from our audition sides, you know, my scene was a boy in therapy, and his brother had just died, and he was really upset and kind of depressed at the beginning, and the therapist says, is there any happy memory you have of your brother? And so I go into this really long monologue about how we're camping, and me and my brother climbed up a tree, and an eagle flew and landed right on the branch, and it was the most majestic experience ever. And it was a really, really beautiful scene. I'm sure Bruno wrote it, and that's kind of that is really where I centered everything from, because it's the first thing that I got about this character, and that's kind of where it all grew. But it was really self-made. With, like Robin said again, like with collaboration, just seeing what I was wearing, seeing how my hair was, and just talking to Bruno and Danny about it and seeing what they wanted. But yeah, it really came from the scripts. That's really weird.
David, do you know how many people you beat out for your role?
No idea.
Okay. You don't know how many
some
were up
idea,
for your role?
but like
You have an idea of who was up for your role?
I have met a lot of people just like out in LA and New York. And I'll be like, oh yeah, I was supposed to get that. All right, sure. Sure, buddy. Get in line. Get in line, man. No, I don't know. I don't have no.
Okay. Where are we here?
Hi. My question's also for David. Now that you have completed this role, you've gone through this journey, and you're stepping into the ranks of other actors that have portrayed such an important character, what does that mean for you, and what is your advice for the next Batman?
Oh. See, now I feel the pressure. I don't know. Get a zipper in the suit? I don't know. I don't know. I guess I really, because I've had this question before. Like, what is it? How does it feel to be on the same list as people like George Clooney and Val Kilmer and Christian Bale? And I really I don't know. I still think I haven't internalized it 5 years later, over 5 years later, 6 years later. I just kind of, I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing, but ever since I was little, I've always lived very, very in the moment and had a hard time thinking about the future too much or the past too much. I just kind of see what's in front of me, and that's where I am. And the fact that the only other Batman that I've met is Ben Affleck, and it was for about 10 seconds at the after party of Batman vs. Superman. So because of that, I feel like, because I haven't really interacted and felt a part of that group, there is no secret club. I have been asked that before. There's some secret meet out, all the Batmans need to know, unfortunately. If there is, I'm just not invited. Maybe when I turn 21. Maybe they do some weird stuff there.
Keep talking.
I'm just digging my hole every time. But yeah, I really don't. It's hard for me to like really fully internalize the fact that I'm part of that group. So it is very hard for me to talk about it because I just don't know. I really don't know.
When he goes out on all those dates and he goes, hey, by the way, I'm Batman. Yeah. Maggie, so if there was any other character that you could have played in that series, any female role, or change a male role to a female role, whatever, who would you have loved to play out?
Before I started working on Gotham, I guess I would have said Catwoman because I am a cat lady in real life. However, thank you. But I can't imagine anybody but Cam.
Yeah.
Cam playing it. So, and truthfully, like I said, always having grown up identifying with gingers, I think Ivy was a dream role for me. So she was my favorite, and I got her. Yay, I win.
You didn't have to color your hair like this guy.
No, all natural. I've actually never dyed my hair before. I got away with it. Unlike this one. Yeah.
Kind of. Okay, we got time for, where are you? Hi, Mary.
Hello, this is Justin. Now coming from the other side, you saw me earlier. This one goes to Donal, Logue. How was it going from Gotham to Vikings to Sons of Anarchy? This ability to jump from one place to another. We hear about the method acting. How about doing character?
That's a good question. So before, Copper, Vikings, and Sons of Anarchy were at the same time. And that was thrilling and super challenging because I was flying between them and they had different dialects and it was such an incredible experience, but I don't think it was a pace I could have maintained And then actually Gotham happened afterwards. So after Vikings ended came a little stint on SVU and then Gotham. And once I settled into Gotham, that was really the only, usually in the off season we do films and different stuff like that. But for the years I was on Gotham, it was just basically the Gotham and Harvey Bullock and my kids. And so, but it's a great question. I think all of us, that's what we do. Probably Sean and I are we're the oldest. So we've been around the block in a lot of different things, and you just get used to it. I've done things where I was in 2 different movies in the same day in different countries. It's rare that it happens. There was a movie called Dear God with Greg Kinnear, and that was in LA in the morning, and Metro with Eddie Murphy in the afternoon in San Francisco. It happens, and it's thrilling for us. I think when and all of us really, a lot of us started in theater, and so a lot of times in summer stock theater, what you do is you're rehearsing the next show you're putting up while you're performing another show that night. So we become adept at it. But yeah, it is, I'd say between Copper and Sons of Anarchy, Vikings was chill. I'm like, man, I'm really killing people. It's getting me down. But thank you. Thanks.
Yeah, it's really interesting to know, in all honesty, and that's going to be the last question over there on that side there, that you guys you haven't been typecast. I think you guys can branch out in any other specific role without acting the same as you did the previous role. You guys, I can see Sean as a 007, maybe 0014, something like that. I can see him as a British secret agent.
Unfortunately, so can I. You're listening, Barbara.
Next go round. All right, we're down to our last question. Hello.
Hi, I have a question for Ivy. How do you stay cool when you're under pressure during the scene of whatever scene you're doing for the show for Gotham?
That was for me, right?
Yes.
I can't hear you.
How do you stay cool under pressure?
When you're under pressure. Like, hey, you gotta do this now.
I don't. Do I seem like I stay cool?
Yes, you don't think I do.
No, the set was a really comfortable place to be. Like Robin said, we had incredible artists that we were working with, and you put the costume on and you're in this incredible set. The art department was amazing, and the props, and of course the other actors and the writing. We really, I feel like I didn't even have to do any work. So, yeah, I really enjoyed working on the show, and I didn't feel too much pressure. I really just had quite a bit of fun, maybe a little too much fun.
How was craft services, though? They feed you well?
I tried to stay away from that.
That's cool.
The craft service is amazing. Oh God! I just got to put it out. You brought it up. But I remember I had a friend who visited from England, and he was visiting set, and I never heard his perception of craft service before until recently. A couple weeks ago, I was in London, and he was we were talking to people, and he was explaining it to me, and he was not explaining it to me. He was explaining it to them, like what craft he was, because somebody was saying, oh, there's a lot of food on set, right? And he was like, you have no idea. Yeah. And he goes, go, and just on set, there's a table that goes from that wall to that wall, filled with food. That's there all day. And then every 3 hours you go, and there's just the way it was just great how he explained. There's a lot of food. So we all got really fat.
Did you guys have any similar experiences with craft service?
I've just been working in Hungary and working back in England, and I forgot how terrible the food is. Seriously hungry. I actually lost weight in a bad way, because I just couldn't eat it. It was absolutely disgraceful. I really started missing our crafters back in the day. Seriously.
Awesome. It's the same people every year too, so they were just
like
they were again part of the family. It was just everyone.
They knew what your orders were.
Yes, they knew who we were. They would say hello, and it's like we became so close, every single person.
Shame.
So, yeah.
Too bad. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been our cast from Gotham. Oscars, and hopefully you guys will show up for that. But in the meantime, remember, they are in the Walk of Fame. Please